Thanks. So thanks everyone for coming to this International Mediation Clinic Network event. The International Mediation Clinic Network was set up to support and offer learning opportunities for mediation clinics and dispute resolution centres. It's open to anyone, academics, practitioners, anyone interested in mediator education, basically. The group meets periodically throughout the year, and we try and meet at least 3 times a year. So this will be the 2nd time. And we have a conference coming up online on the 27th of November. So tonight we've got 2 fascinating individuals for you, and some of you may know them already. We've got Hanna here, and she's a lawyer and an accredited mediator in Ukraine and in Scotland, with a background in workplace, school and family mediation. You've led the mediation hub in Ukraine and in a Ukrainian school in Odessa, and you're a trainer in conflict resolution as well. You co-founded the Ukrainians Together project and the social enterprise Bring Together, and you also volunteer as a board member for Scottish Mediation. You also volunteer with the League of Mediators of Ukraine and as a family mediator to support Ukrainian families during the war. And Vitalii, you're a Ukrainian lawyer and accredited mediator in Scotland, and you have a civil and commercial background. You co-founded the Ukrainians Together project with Hanna to support the Ukrainian families and integrating and rebuilding their lives in the UK. You're also director of Bring Together, social enterprise that provides conflict resolution training and mediation service to local organisations. And you're also a lead mediator with the Citizens Advice Edinburgh that deals with the sheriff courts. And you also joined the board of the Scottish Refugee Council last year. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put it over to you, and then we can have a question and answer session afterwards, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you very much. We really happy to be here today and having this opportunity to connect with Mediation Clinic Network. And thank you to the Strathclyde, Pauline, Charlie for inviting us. It's an honor to speak, and it's always good to learn from each other. And we will try today to share some of our experience, our background, and what we learned on our journey. And I will give my word to Hanna, and I will start sharing presentation.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted to be here today with you, and everything we'll do today, we'll share our knowledge and skills and our background. It will be projection from our experience, experience of being lawyers, mediators in Ukraine, and as well continuing our practice here in Scotland. So before Vitalii share the presentation, I will say a couple of words about because Pauline gave fantastic introduction. Thank you very much. Yeah, we as well prepared some slides about each of us, but I will not duplicate yet some of the information which Pauline already mentioned. I will just say, Vitalii, next slide, please, about how I managed to came to my mediation path. So basically, on my first background and for my qualification, I'm a lawyer, I'm an advocate since 2013 in Ukraine. And probably my career firstly started when I graduated from my master's program in law, from working as a judge assistant in a court, and working a couple of years in a court and observing, how long the procedure of the claim lasts in a court, how a lot of efforts, energy, and sometimes emotions people put to get the court decision, and in the final finally people feel like unsatisfied quite often with the judge decisions and feel a lot of difficulties with executing the judge decisions. And year by year I felt that I'm feeling like more keen to looking for different and another options opportunities. I don't like to say like alternative opportunities, because I don't like to mention about mediation like an alternative way of resolving conflicts. It's an independent, sustainable way of resolving conflicts. So since my experience starting working as a judge assistant in a court, and then in a private law firm as a lawyer, then as a self-employed advocate, I felt every year more keen to looking for another opportunities to support my clients and to exploring different options, how to involve both of the parties in resolving the issues. And finally, in 2019, I do appreciate support from my Ukrainian colleagues who navigated me on this route and path. I passed through the course on basic mediation skills of the German organization, which organized course in Ukraine. It was a course in German with the simultaneous translation into Ukrainian. So the course was consisted of 2 months studying. In total, it was like separated for a couple of modules, but in total, it consisted of 12 full-day training. After doing my basic mediation skills, I felt that I feel like I don't have enough confidence to practice, because first my practice started from working in different volunteer cases and volunteer projects. And after that, at the end of the 2018, I decided to gain my qualification of a family mediator. And after that, I started to work a lot, not only in volunteer projects, but in a private cases, and as well received an offer in 2019 from Odessa Private School to work as in-house mediator within private educational organization. So this is a little bit about my path from Ukraine, yeah. And after we moved to Scotland, I've been qualified with Scottish mediation, and now we will tell a little bit later, yeah, after Vitalii will say a couple of words about his route. After coming to Scotland, we decided to focus on alternative and peaceful approaches to resolve conflicts, because having this background of coming from foreign country where for now the war in continuous phase, we understand the importance of spreading peace, of working on people's communications and relationship, because if it costs us our peace, it is probably too much. That's why these are particular areas we prefer to focus our job for now. Vitalii, I will pass over to you to say a couple of words.
And you forgot to mention that you took part in mediation clinics as well in Ukraine, in Odessa, in a court. Okay. Yeah,
it's been pilot project since 2018. The couple of NGOs, they signed memorandum kind of agreement, voluntary agreement with the local courts, and on the basis of this memorandum we opened like mediation hubs or offices or clinics in different local or regional courts, and from time to time judges referred people to participate in a voluntary process in the mediation. It was absolutely free of charge for mediators and for parties as well. Mostly people used mediation hubs and mediation clinics. I mean, mediators used after doing the course on basic mediation skill, they wanted to gain experience, and they tried to gain this experience while working as a volunteer mediators in such hubs and clinics.
And my path to mediation was totally different. I came through, I went through a journey through a career in civil and commercial litigation, and that was amazing experience. But it was as well, some of the experience was good, some was not very good, because as you can imagine, litigation is a very stressful for clients and for lawyers as well. But in my mindset, I think I didn't know about the mediation till 2019. So however, mediation was in Ukraine, and we will talk about it a bit later. But I think that's as a lawyer, as many other lawyers, we don't even know about mediation, and we don't have experience of being in a different setting and understanding what the benefit of that setting. I think this is one of the challenges of the modern legal and legal aid system. So we need to pass more experience to lawyers so they will understand what are the benefits. But coming to Scotland, I was interested in gain more practical skills. So I attended accredited mediation course at St. Andrews University, and then I decided to get more deep knowledge on mediation, and I started a course, master's course in Newcastle University. And to get, again, practice and more understanding of the mediation process in Scotland, I joined the Citizen Advice Bureau as a lead mediator. And I think it's a good experience because you have a co-mediator which can help you to learn and to build your rapport, and to build confidence. This is really important. And my understanding at the current moment that in a litigation, we use too many means to achieve our goals, but we don't consider the perspective of other party, and we don't have these conversations before the court proceedings. And I think it's really important to have those conversations, because without those conversations, any opportunity, we will lose opportunities. And I came to the decision to go on the mediation route because I think it's a better way to deal with disagreements, especially in the conflict environment, and especially that when we face so many challenges globally and locally. So we will go next to, we will just shortly say what we focus on as individuals and as a profession, what is important to us. We want to use our skills to share them with the people who need it, displaced people who have a communication, cultural barrier, and of course stress of trauma, effect of trauma and stress. And we also want to work with the communities, with society, to introduce mediation and to build more peaceful communications. And also we want to engage with organizations who support refugees, because it's important. They also feeling the stress and pressure when people coming to the country. It means they need to understand those people, need to engage with them, because people have totally different cultural background, experience, and way of communication, and that needs to be considered. So we were trying to introduce some of the mediation techniques to local organizations and authorities who are working with the refugees.
Yeah, for now, Bring Together started from the Ukrainians Together initiative in 2022 to support displaced people, Ukrainian people, and in 1 year the project scaled to organization, and for now we work with the different target audiences. So these are displaced people, these are local communities and local organizations, and these are youth and youngsters. So the main goal and mission is to transform conflicts into opportunities and the mindset of people, and giving people understanding that there are lots of opportunities and lots of advantages of conflicts, and as well how we can approach different challenges in communication, in relationship, in communities. So the main idea: bring together people, bring together communities, bring together organizations, workplaces, and families as well.
So let's look into the and I want to share one of the cases in my practice, which there is two cases actually, which quite significant. So this is a case, a big case that was caused by the tragedy. So there was a fire on the oil storage, and it caused and 6 people died and 16 was injured. But there was also a massive damage to the property and to environment. It happened in 2015 in Kiev region and in city of Vasilkiv, and you can find information on the websites, internet, about that case. And in 2018, there was a NGO was started to advocate for victims' rights and to start a claim against the company. After 2 years, quite adversarial litigation, and there was also strikes, and I was involved in one of the last stages of that process because I was invited as a lawyer, as an advocate, to take part in legal proceedings. We reached an agreement that the sense of that agreement was ex gratia. So in this case, the company didn't say that was their fault, but they agreed to pay compensation. So there was 20,000 million Ukrainian hryvnias, which was equivalent of $1 million at that time, was paid to people who suffered from that tragedy. And this is, like, for me, it was a big case. It was class action. There was more than 2,000 people involved, and we had a team of around 20 people who were supporting like organization and legal proceedings. And for me, it showed that actually in so adversarial process, even in so big tragedy, we can come into an agreement and look for the benefits for people who suffered from the cause and from this issue. And the second case, it's quite funny, but it was a real case. We had in my practice, we had a case, a land case, and the two parties was arguing about 4 square meters of land. And that was like a stumbling point, but it lasted for 13 years. And they spent lots of money. We went through 3 rounds from local court to high court. And in the end, like my party won the case. But for me, it was like, it was ridiculous because people spent so much time and money about just one issue, which was not like causing a big problem, but it was very important for them. And if we had a chance to introduce mediation, I think we could spend less time in the courts and spend less money on not necessary expenses and have better outcomes. And there is lots of such cases on a global level and on a small level. And if we will be able to introduce mediation and engage more people, I think that we will have better outcomes in a legal system, and it will of course bring more access to justice, because if there is a backlog of cases in a court, there are less people have an opportunity to go to a hearing on their cases. It's the same in Ukraine. Our cases last for many years instead of being like resolved in a short term. And now we will talk about history of mediation. So mediation is quite new for Ukraine. As I said, I found out about mediation in 2019. Hanna done her course in 2018, but it started in 90s, and we had an independence in 1991, and just after 1 year, there was a few attempts to introduce mediation and start mediation cases in Ukraine. And from that time, first organizations was formed. But at the moment, there is around 33 organizations in Ukraine that working on mediation. They're quite decentralized. There is no one body for all organizations. Some of them have their own registers. Some of them have their own ethic codes, but they work together in partnerships to assist people in resolving their disputes and conflicts. And there is a lot of organizations that work in family cases specifically, in workplace cases, in commercial mediation, etc. There was in our city in Odessa, there was first case in 1997 when the case was referred from the court to mediation service, and it was resolved. So it was the first case in Ukraine. There was also one interesting event. There was strikes there was a big problem in Ukraine because many people left without jobs, or they had a job but they didn't it wasn't paid, and the problem was there was no money in a budget, and the company cannot pay their government agencies cannot pay their salary to their staff. There were big strikes in Kiev, and mediation was introduced to find out a solution to this issue. And in 1998, National Mediation and Conciliation Service was established specifically to address the disputes among unions and employment disputes. And in 2008, the first mediation bill was introduced but not adopted. And after that, there was 12 more attempts to introduce mediation and make it a law, but it happened only in 2021. So this is the first stage when just mediation was introduced. There was first initiatives, voluntary projects with different organizations trying to set mediation services in different regions of Ukraine. And I will pass to Hanna, who will talk about stage 2 and stage 3.
Yeah, after these first initiatives to settle mediation as an option, as a service, and to promote it within communities, within society, and within the country. On the second stage, there are some interventions from government, to build relationship with the mediators, professional mediators, and as well professional organizations. And in 2012, mediation became part of a social service, and since that period, lots of I can say for now well established and recognized organizations who work within Ukraine, they started to form. So they started to form their boards. They started to establish themselves. I mean, on the media level, and as well level of communication with the local authorities and as well government. And for now, for example, there is such an organization which calls National Association of Mediators of Ukraine, League of Mediators of Ukraine, Family Association of Family Mediators of Ukraine. Most of them, they have roots since 2014, 2016, some of them even earlier. And in 2016, we've got the standard from which was accepted by Ukrainian government, approved on the social service of mediation. So we've got the mention of mediation in this legal document, and giving understanding people who work in the social care, in the social sector, that mediation could be provided for people, for clients, but these were only like a first legal settlements. So in real life, in practice, it didn't work really very well. What I can say about the organizations which started to establish themselves and work in the mediation field, most of them, these are non-government organizations and organizations who work in the third sector. So it means that most of them, they are funded from external funds which support these organizations from international, European, USA donors to support and provide mediation as a service and to promote it within communities and society. And on this third stage, we've got some really crucial events happening in mediation field. So in 2017, we've got amendments to civil, commercial, administrative procedures codes, and this is first time in the procedure codes the mediation became part of litigation proceedings as a pre-court stage to settle a dispute. So what does it mean? So when the claim when people apply to the court and the claim managed to get to the particular judge, the judge has to settle first initial meetings with preparation meeting session with the parties, and ask about their intention, if they still want and agree to continue the court hearings, or they want to use, for example, mediation, which could be provided by judges particular. So this is another way, I can say, of another way of alternative dispute resolution, because it means that judges, they conduct particular sessions with the parties and support them in understanding their needs, probably looking for some ideas how to resolve the issue. But this is another way and approach. It doesn't mean that this is the same what we conduct as a professional independent mediators. And unfortunately, this kind of procedure, I mean, mediation with the participation of judge wasn't quite popular within the parties, because I can say that the court system is so overwhelmed with the claims, and judges that don't have enough time to spend and probably professionally gain knowledge and skills as a professional, impartial, independent mediators. So that's why it wasn't quite popular. What was mentioned in the professional procedure courts, that if parties decided to participate in mediation, to take a mediator independently, so, and if the case wasn't finished successfully, or it was finished successfully, it isn't allowed to for mediators to witness in a court. So it was kind of really great point to support professional mediators, and to as well protect and secure them from the parties who probably doing this stepping into the mediation unconsciously, and after trying this way, if in case they didn't came to an agreement, they want again to go to the court and settle the issue in the court, they can use some information from mediation session in the court. And to prevent this and to protect mediators, such as statement appeared in the procedure courts. So the next one milestone was in 2019, so when Ukraine signed the Singapore Convention. So for now, it was signed and recognized, but it still wasn't ratified. And what's really as well important to mention, I think, as most of the mediators here, we are all here, we understand that the Singapore Convention is spread on onto the cases specifically into the commercial field. In 2021, just before 3 months before the war in Ukraine started, the Ukrainian parliament passed the law on mediation. I will, on the next slide, a little bit more share about the basic framework, this law on mediation. But I can say that the idea from the working group who worked under the developing this law on mediation, and which involved people from parliament, people from professional mediation community, and as well from different organizations who work on the mediation field. So the main idea was to make this law kind of basic framework to give professional mediators and professional organizations and associations kind of navigation or guidelines, and not to make the profession quite so regulated, if we'll compare, for example, even with the lawyer and advocates profession. On 2024, just 1 month ago, we got the new standard, which was accepted by Ukrainian government on the social services on mediation. So for now, what does it mean? So for now, mediation as a service will be potentially, hopefully, yeah, if there will be done some additional steps to establish it, but potentially the social services and organization in the field of social support and social services, they will provide onto the request of people and parties who want to step into the mediation process. They could provide free of charge for people mediation services, and these services for mediators, it will be paid. So it means the mediators could receive payment while providing and doing this job. Because for now, I can say that all the work which I'm doing within the volunteer projects and within different organizations I'm involved in, I mean, most of them, they are NGOs and third sector organizations. So this is mostly voluntary jobs. So it means that the government for now doesn't support financially and doesn't provide any funding to develop the mediation as a service and to promote it within the community. So only external fundings from international donors for now involved into developing and establishing mediation. Probably the next slide, please.
I just want to add that the specific of Ukraine bureaucracy, you cannot provide service and to get paid if you don't have a law or specific standard. So it takes a lot of efforts for mediators to get everything right in order to be paid. So because this is a social service, and it's good that it will be introduced as a social service for people, and people in need can get access to this service. Because in a current landscape, it's very difficult to find budgets and sources to run the mediation services in Ukraine. So most of them are volunteers.
I also wanted to add a couple of words. So when I stepped into the mediation profession in 2018 and started promoted within our city, within our community, tried to establish communications and relationship with the different local authorities, with the courts. So the first question from the people who are civil servants or work in a government, there was a question: is there is a law on mediation? So how your profession is regulated, how it's well recognized, I mean, legally. Because if we will refer clients if the judge, for example, we refer clients to participate in the mediation process and there is no law exist, so it means that we'll do illegal stuff. So the mediation community spent a lot of time and effort to create the working group and involve different stakeholders to develop this law on mediation. And in 2021, finally, we've managed to have the law on mediation, but after that the war started, and of course all the processes, they've been quite slowed down, unfortunately. But for now we've got like a more progression, I can say, and more involvement and interest from different stakeholders, from public sector, from private sector, and third sector as well, to participate actively in establishing and promoting mediation for people and clients, because people started to see lots of benefits of the mediation. And first of them, probably this is cost effective and time effective. Yes. The next one, yes, you wanted to add something, Vitalii, or you want me to?
No.
Okay.
I just want to mention that we have 25 minutes, so
yeah,
we need to
I understand. I will. So the law on mediation, as I mentioned, it's a quite legal framework. So I will just mention like a main bullet points about what does it consist of. So the first one, this is about when the mediation can potentially used. So this is before clients can go to the court, or even when they already have a claim in a court, or even after they have a judge decision, they can apply for mediation services. So there is a direct statement in the law that mediation is quite flexible and can use on different stages, different stages, I mean, of the process. The next one, the law can have mentioned about the main mediation principles. So there are 4 of them. This is voluntariness, confidentiality, impartiality, independence, and unbiased of mediators. And the last one, self-determination of mediators and equal rights in the process for parties who participate and choose to participate in mediation. So the next one, the law as well mentioned the legal requirements for the people who want to become professional mediators. And we've got such a requirement that if the individual wants to become a mediator, you need to pass basic mediation skills training in Ukraine or abroad. So it's not like something which is limited or restricted. So you need to have this mediation skills course, which need to be consisted minimum of 90 training hours. And from these 90 training hours, you need to have minimum 45 hours of practice. The next one as well for professionals who specialize in family cases, for example, they need to have a special qualification in the family mediation. So it means the people need to do the course on family mediation. The next one, for example, if people want to practice in the child inclusive cases, they need to have as well qualification and specialization in child inclusive mediation. So this is additional number of hours people need to do, training hours, as well additional number of practical hours, and as well to have like a completed and passed course with the approved certificate. The next one as well, the law have got mention about rights and obligation in mediation for parties and as well for mediators. The next one, the law got the mentioning that ethic norms quite they have autonomy. So what does it mean? So because we've got quite decentralized existed organizations and professional bodies within Ukraine. So it means we doesn't have one single professional body which regulates the whole number of professional mediators in Ukraine. So we've got different organizations. We've got different organizations. As well, we've got different professional bodies. And each of the organization, they could have their own register, and they as well could have their own ethic code. So it means that, for example, I belong to Association of Family Mediators. So this is a professional body for family mediators. So the only one in Ukraine. And all the people who belong to this organization, they accept that they follow the code of ethics of the National National Association of Mediators of Ukraine. So this is another one organization, but we all from this from family Association of Family Mediators, we accept their code of ethics. And there are no limits and restrictions. So people from one organization, they could belong for a couple of registers and for a couple of organizations, and as well they could follow a couple of codes if there is a need and request, for example. But for example, for our organization, for the League of Mediators of Ukraine and Association of Family Mediators of Ukraine, we don't have our own code of ethics. We accept that we follow the code of ethics from National Association of Mediators of Ukraine. As well, the law on mediation got a point about rules on conducting mediation, and as well the points about agreement to mediate. So the contract or agreements on mediate need to consist of particular parts, and so the main things, I mean, which it need to be consist, they appeared in the law as well to give the guidelines and to give navigation for practical mediators. Yes, next slide, please.
I will start a bit to give you a break. So League of Mediators, since the war started, they introduced the project called Family Mediation: The Time of War, and the aim of this project is to support displaced people with the mediation service. And the challenge of people who's moved because of the conflict, that the family are separated and they have more issues than than usual family have, and they need a support. And this is a service free of charge. And many mediators joined this initiative to support families.
I wanted just to add, yeah. So the main idea was to establish a partnership with the local social service providers and to provide family mediation service for free for people, and to give the people opportunity to get an access to this service free of charge. And the main number of cases was within the field of family issues, so everything around family. So these are relationship between couples, between parents and children, between relatives. These are relationship, everything around property and finances, and as well communication and relationship between separated parents and as well their own children. So the register of mediators was formed to list mediators who volunteered in family cases, and each region or each like a district have a particular coordinator who distributes the cases from the social services who got memorandums or partnership with the League of Mediators of Ukraine. So they are the main distributors of the cases. About like practically how it looks like, the work in this project, and as well how the family mediation provides. So each case starts from two individual introduction sessions with each of the party to give them understanding what is the mediation process about, to ask for their ask about their interest to participate and to receive their agreement. After parties agreed to participate, we sign a contract that this is like a voluntary service we provide that doesn't pay for it. So for us as well, it's a voluntary job. And what as well, we mentioned that after two individual meetings, we start working in joint sessions. And about these joint sessions, so in total, within this service, we provide up to 8 sessions in each case, or it could be less than 8 sessions, but maximum we work within 2 months with each case. After individual meetings, if the party, for example, they say about, for example, if they expected, because I've got a couple of such cases that people expected that mediation, it will be not kind of a negotiations, it will be more, they expected it will look like a court process, and if the expectations of people a little bit other, then we can support them as a mediators. Of course, we revert them back to the principles and rules. And if people say that they don't want to participate, of course, this is absolutely acceptable. The only thing we do, if parties refuse to participate, for example, or if after 2 months working within the clients, the people came to an agreement, we do kind of report for the social care providers to give them understanding of this progress process. So if there are success in moving through the mediation process. But the reports, they quite general. So we always mention for parties as well that we don't put into the reports any kind of confidential information. So everything, all the confidential information, they lives in the virtual or in-person mediation room. So the only thing we mentioned in the report, so the name of the parties, so what is the main was request, and if the parties came to agreement or no. So these are the main things we mentioned. Yeah.
I will shortly go through the next slides, and probably you know about the numbers that caused the war. So 20 million people initially were displaced. Most of them are inside the country, and the last statistics say there is 4.5 million people are now are hosted abroad in European countries and of course other countries around the globe. 20% of territories of Ukraine occupied. That means that there's people living on the occupied territories. Unfortunately, we don't have an opportunity to connect with them and to provide them a service. But if people leave the territory, moving to control territory of Ukraine or move to Europe, we're able to engage with them. But people rarely share their experience about being in occupation. So compared to the size of the occupied territory, it's even bigger than the size of Scotland. So you can imagine the scale of this tragedy. And the challenges so we all in the same situation. So we face this, mediators as professionals face the same as all people in Ukraine and those who moved abroad. So that means that there is a problem inside the Ukraine. There is a problem with the electricity. So sometimes we don't have a connection, and we have to hide in a bomb shells because of the drone and rocket attacks. There is a housing crisis, means people living together in one accommodation. So, for example, a big family living in 1-2 rooms. There is humanitarian crisis. For example, in some regions there is enough food, or providing even basic support and services. And of course, there is a level conflict brings the war brought conflict into the society as well, into the families. So some of the conflicts, for example, if you have a disagreement, they could scale because people have a stress or trauma and they cannot react in an appropriate way or think rationally. And of course, there is a polarization about different questions, like we need to negotiate peace, or we need to fight, or we need to go to the borders of the 1991. And this is a real issue, and it will go on. Even this polarization will stay, I think, even after the end of the war. It will be a big challenge for a society. And for people who moved abroad, they have a new experience. They never lived abroad. So it was not their choice. It was forced decision. So that all have a big impact on their mental health. And of course, it influences the relationships, and it's more difficult to work with people because we need more time to talk over all things and to normalize the relationship and the communication with people. And people are separated, fathers, mothers separated, and this is also a big challenge for their relationship and for their children. And I think that's we have 10 minutes left for the session. I think we will go to question answer session. How do you think, Hanna?
Yeah, absolutely fine. Because we prepared lots of slides. It's like as well. we think to do a little bit even more because the topic is quite interesting, and we are always happy to share with our knowledge and skills. So, well, for now, yeah, we're happy to hear some questions or comments or ideas for discussion.
Well, thank you, Hanna and Vitalii. That's really interesting just to hear about the history of mediation and where it is at Ukraine, and the challenges that people are up against at the moment as well.